I've got a score to settle with that son of a bitch.
Devil May Cry.
What's up, you guys? This is your boy RBG, hitting you up with another Devil May Cry related upload. First off, I just want to say thank you for the huge turnout we got on the DMC2 trailer breakdown I did. It's currently at over 200,000 hits and climbing, so I couldn't be any more happier. And I also want to take time and apologize for offending all of the Devil May Cry purists out there with my goof that I made. Sometimes these late night recording sessions can do a number on my brain, but I assure you I knew that Dante's sword is the Rebellion and Nero's is the Red Queen. Mistakes are bound to happen, and I appreciate those who actually understood. But getting back to the topic at hand, I noticed that the most harped on aspect of Devil May Cry 5 was the actual timeline. Just when the hell does this game take place? Now, in my previous breakdown, I mentioned that this game would probably take place before the events of DMC2, since that particular entry has become like the red-headed stepchild of the franchise. The game had a buttload of problems stemming from the drop in gameplay quality to the tonal shift in not only the story but also Dante's overall character. Compared to the spry and charismatic character we all know and love today, DMC2 Dante had the personality of a wet blanket. So putting Devil May Cry at the tail end of the timeline kinda eases the burn a little bit. But don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things in that game that would revolutionize future installments down the line, such as the wall running that would later be implemented in the form of a fighting style called Trickster, and the stylish yet unpolished shooting which would ultimately become Dante's gunslinger style in Devil May Cry 3 and 4. So there were definitely a large amount of problems that could have easily been thrown away, but Hideaki Itsuno chose to take what he had and expound upon them. Hell, the first time we saw Dante's popular sword, the Rebellion, was in Devil May Cry 2. Until this day, the double triggers are some of my favorite designs in the entire series. There's just something cool about seeing an overpowered demon shoot out blasts from his sick hand cannons. Speaking of overpowered, that's one of the things that prevented me from accepting the fact that DMC5 takes place after Part 2, because DMC2 Dante was stacked to the rim with powers that made the game way too easy. Like literally, there was no end to his double trigger's ass pull of abilities. And we got the Majin Devil form, which in my opinion is the pinnacle of all transformations in the Devil May Cry franchise. Before we delve more into that, I think we should go back and see where the characters have been. Now, the last time we saw Dante, he was seen entering into the demon portal to battle the powerful demon god Argosax. Finding the portal closed behind him, Dante instead drives further into the demon realm on a motorcycle. Now, during a bonus cutscene, a lot of fans, including myself, assumed that Dante came back since we saw Lucia hearing sounds of a motorcycle engine echoing outside the Devil May Cry shop, but it was never actually revealed that he did somehow escape the demon realm. Other theorists have implied that the mystery character was in fact Trish, since she could be unlocked after beating the game with Dante and Lucia on the hard difficulty setting. I mean, Trish was the first character in the series to be seen riding a motorcycle, and the double-sided coin that Dante was constantly flipping did feature her silhouette, so there are those elements to take into the equation. The main thing fans have been using to corroborate the theory of Dante returning back to the human realm is the wild-looking motorcycle. It has this very demonic aesthetic that makes it seem like it was forged in the deep depths of hell. Just maybe the same bike that was used on his travels to the demon realm was given a major power-up, because you can see all the different blades sticking out of it, and it even looks like it has blasters at the front. There's even a possibility that this could be one of his new devil arms. Over the years, we've seen Dante use some outlandish looking demon weapons like the Naven, which was a weapon that plays like a one-neck electric guitar and doubles as a scythe. And there are more advanced weapons like Pandora, where it essentially turned into 666 different forms, one of them being a vehicle equipped with rockets. So this mystery vehicle could be the same bike we saw Dante using, or it could be an entirely different bike altogether. But it's not to say he didn't gain this motorcycle shortly after defeating a demon. Most devil arms are nothing more than sentient weapons that essentially manifest the soul of the demon that was defeated, and if that's the case, we may be seeing a boss battle leading up to that. If this game does in fact take place after Devil May Cry 2, this gives the developers the opportunity to rectify certain issues, and hopefully this will make people appreciate it. As I mentioned earlier, if certain mechanics were transferred over from DMC2 to later entries, then maybe we can see Dante's Devil Majin trigger make a return, and people who hated the game can end up accepting it as canon. Now, the only thing we've seen of Dante's Majin form outside of DMC2 is in the official Devil May Cry 3 manga. Although Dante didn't have his double trigger ability yet in the continuity, he somehow manifested some of the Majin's power to drive dark magic out of a possessed girl named Alice. That also alludes to the fact that Dante could prove to be more demonic in that form, which makes total sense because it almost puts him on the same level of Sparta, if not stronger. Now, of course, they'd essentially have to nerf it because it is one of the only double triggers that granted him true invulnerability, but they definitely should consider bringing it back because it seems like the older Dante gets, the stronger he becomes. Since we're on the topic of old age, most of the fans have pointed out that Dante looks to have aged drastically compared to all of the earlier iterations, and I believe it's mainly because of the facial hair. It does make Dante look like a crazy old man that's escaped a retirement home, especially considering how he still acts over the top like he did in part 3. But if you look at it, he doesn't seem to have aged that much. I think the fact that his facial hair being a grayish looking silver like the hair on his head sort of creates the illusion that he's aged badly. And I think the Resident Evil 7 graphics engine plays a part in that because you do have these expressions that evoke more wrinkles in the face like you see with Nero in certain instances. But it's just a little stubble added on to Dante's face. And I kinda like it because if he has been stuck in hell for all these years, I can imagine that he'd come back a little scruffy. I'm just saying. Now, looking at the background, it looks like he could be in Ouroboros City. If you remember at the end of DMC2, the city was brought to ruin after the portal of the demon realm was opened. So Dante could just be passing through whatever left of it as he rushes to Redgrave City where most of the game will take place. But to make a long story short, I just hope we see some of the things we liked about Devil May Cry 2, like maybe bringing back Lucia or Dante's double-sided coin. Moving on, I want to expand on my discussion about Nero. I had previously given out theories on why the mystery man, who's most likely Virgil, would want his Devilbringer arm, and the whereabouts of the Yamato, to which a majority of the viewers noted that at the end of Devil May Cry 4, Nero absorbed the katana into his arm. I didn't necessarily forget about that aspect, I just assumed that he'd mount it on a wall shortly after returning home, similar to what Dante does at his shop. And I also mentioned how his iconic weapons Red Queen and Blue Rose might be modified or entirely new versions altogether. I know at the end of DMC4 we last saw them being used by Nero shortly after returning with Kyrie, but in the Devil May Cry novel it was stated that they melted away after Nero was absorbed into the Savior and were lost after his destruction. And that story element would give the creators the excuse of allowing Nico to make newer versions of the weapons. The Order had a bunch of those swords laying around and Nero's Red Queen just so happened to be a heavily modified version of them. I believe one of my viewers mentioned that he likely kept the blueprints to both the Red Queen and Blue Rose, so there's a high chance that Nico did remake them and give them upgrades. But as to what Nero and Kyrie have been up to, we already noted that he's expanded the Devil May Cry brand by making it a mobile agency. So there's that, but I think fans still want to know about the events leading up to that. In the last chapter of the DMC novel, Kyrie went back and told the citizens of Fortuna about the fake savior and his order of demons. Most of them believed her as they didn't think that someone as pure as her would tell a lie, but there were a few who believed she was lying and that the Order couldn't possibly have done that shit. Instead, they believed that the Order died fighting against the demons. They would go on to spit on her and accuse her of being possessed since she's now shacking up with a demon pretty boy. And they basically found out Nero was half demon because he no longer hides his arm. He's proud of who or what the hell he is now, but is still afraid to let some people see it because it might bring negative attention to Kyrie. However, Kyrie encourages him not to hide it. And on a side note of Nero's identity, it's revealed near the end that Dante was neither interested nor curious to confirm Nero's origins, which is so true to his character. It didn't matter who his parents might be because it's not like Nero could show him any evidence. To him, the important thing was that he could feel that the kid carried the soul that should be inherited, and apparently that was enough reason for Dante to leave the Yamato with him. So take of that what you will. I think there have been plenty of hints that confirm that Nero is the son of Virgil, from the various articles to certain cutscenes from side projects. But moving on, Nero decided to open a demon hunting business in Fortuna, and as we see, Dante gives him a Devil May Cry neon sign to expand the business. And it was probably the best choice considering the fact that by the end of Devil May Cry 4, the Hell Gates were completely destroyed, allowing demons to flood the world, so Dante is definitely going to need all the help he can get. Anyways, Nero now stays with Kyrie in an apartment they rented, and Kyrie busies herself every day trying to help the people who have lost their homes and family. As far as the whereabouts of Kyrie in Devil May Cry 5 are, I still believe that this mystery villain probably killed her or at least kidnapped her, obviously for character motivation purposes. I'm placing my bets on Virgil being the culprit and him possibly killing her just to show Nero what it feels like to be powerless and incapable of saving the woman he loves. That's definitely something that fans want to see between him and Virgil, actual father and son interaction. In the previous video I noted that the main mystery baddie with all of the tentacles coming out of his body might be Virgil's Devil Trigger, to which some of my viewers suggested it's Mundus or an entirely different villain altogether, simply because of the size difference. During one of the interviews given by Hideaki Itsuno, he mentioned that the demon is over 20 feet tall, So there is that bit of info to take into consideration. Despite the size difference, I say it could still be Virgil's demon form, like maybe it could be his Majin Double Trigger. If you look at DMC2 Dante's Majin form, you'll notice that he drastically increases in size. And also, Virgil's possessed form Nilo Angelo towered over Dante in the first Devil May Cry game. Once again, these are all my opinions, so we'll just have to wait till the game officially releases or a bit more information comes out regarding the story and characters. We currently know a little about some of the supporting characters like Nico, who's said to be the granddaughter of Noel Goldstein, the original creator of the Ebony and Ivory pistols. I noted that she looked racially ambiguous, meaning she could be mixed with something. And there are a lot of assumptions swirling around the community that DMC4's Agnes could be her father, simply because he was one of the Order of the Sword's high-ranking scientists and he's black. I gotta admit, there was a pretty good theory, though some were just flat out claiming that this is an actual fact. There aren't any specific details regarding where he comes from or if he had any love interests, and only a few people of the Order knew about him and his scientific research of demonic powers. I originally assumed that Nico's father could possibly be the black gentleman who's been confirmed to be Morrison, who made his first appearance in the DMC anime. He's basically the guy who brings Dante most of his job requests and acts as a chauffeur when Dante needs a ride. It's also noted that Dante owes Morrison a lot of money since he's constantly bringing in missions for the DMC crew. But anyways, I think I've rambled on long enough. What are your thoughts on where the crew have been and leading up to the events of Devil May Cry 5? Are you convinced that the story is continuing off where DMC2 left off? And just how powerful do you think Dante is? Let me know in the comment section below. In my next breakdown, I'll be doing a theory on who the mystery guy in the promotional art could possibly be, so stay tuned. As always, I ask you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on future content. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on all the social media platforms with your friends and followers. I love what I do and I do it all for you guys. Once again, this was your boy RBG signing out on another video. I will catch you guys later. Peace out.